Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're tackling something super important: English learning myths. There's so much misinformation out there about how to learn English, and honestly, some of these myths hold people back from making real progress.
Yeah, we hear these all the time, things like, you have to start as a child, or you need to live in an English-speaking country to be fluent. And guess what? Most of them are not true.
Exactly. So today, we're going to break down the biggest myths about learning English and explain why you should stop believing them. If any of these myths have been stopping you from improving, this episode is going to change the way you think. Let's get into it.
All right, let's start with the first myth. You have to start learning English as a child to become fluent.
Oh, this one is so common. People think that if they didn't grow up speaking English, they'll never be as good as someone who did. But that's just not true.
Yeah, kids do pick up languages naturally, but adults actually have some advantages too.
Adults can understand grammar rules, learn consciously, and use strategies that kids don't even think about.
Exactly. There are so many people who start learning English in their 20s, 30s, or even later, and they still reach fluency. It's all about consistency, not age.
Yeah, so if you're thinking, I'm too old to learn, stop right there. You're never too old to improve your English.
Love that. Okay, next myth. You need to live in an English-speaking country to be fluent.
This one used to be more believable, but now,
With the internet, social media, and all the resources available, you can surround yourself with English no matter where you live.
Right, there are people who live in the US or the UK for years and still struggle with English, while others who never leave their home country become fluent just by immersing themselves online.
Exactly. If you're watching English content, reading, listening to podcasts, and speaking as much as possible, you are creating an English-speaking environment for yourself.
So, if you've been using this as an excuse, it's time to let it go. You don't need to move anywhere, you just need to make English a part of your daily life.
love that.
All right, here's another one. You need perfect grammar before you can start speaking.
Ooh, I hate this myth. Grammar is important, but waiting until you have perfect grammar before speaking, that's just going to slow you down.
Yeah,
Think about how kids learn their first language. They don't start with grammar rules.
they start by listening and repeating, and their grammar improves naturally over time.
Exactly, and the same thing happens when you learn English as a second language. You don't need perfect grammar to communicate, you just need to start speaking.
Yep, mistakes are part of the process. The more you speak, the better your grammar will get. But you can't improve if you're too scared to try.
Love that. Okay, here's another big myth. If you don't have a native accent, your English isn't good.
Oh man, this one is so frustrating.
Your goal should be to communicate clearly, not to sound exactly like a native speaker.
Yes, there are so many different English accents around the world, and they're all valid. Having an accent just means you speak more than one language. How cool is that?
Exactly.
Instead of trying to erase your accent completely, focus on pronunciation and clarity.
As long as people understand you, that's what really matters.
100%. Alright, next myth. You can become fluent in just a few months if you find the right method.
Oh yeah, I see this everywhere at saying, learn English in 30 days, or fluency in 3 months. But real fluency takes time.
Right, you can make a lot of progress in a few months if you practice every day. But fluency isn't something you just unlock overnight. It's a skill that builds over time.
Exactly. It's like going to the gym. You don't get fit in a month. But if you stay consistent, you'll see huge progress over time.
Love that comparison. So instead of looking for a magic method, just focus on steady improvement. That's what really works.
Yes.
All right, last myth for now. Some people just aren't good at languages.
Oh, this one makes me sad because it stops so many people from even trying.
Yeah, no one is bad at languages. Some people might learn faster because of their environment or experience, but anyone can learn English with enough practice.
Exactly. It's not about talent, it's about consistency, mindset, and finding a way to make learning fun for you.
100%.
So if you've ever thought, I'm just not good at English, change that mindset. You can improve, and you will if you keep going.
Yes, and the fact that you're even listening to this podcast right now, that means you're already on the right path.
Exactly.
If you're here, listening, learning, and thinking about how to improve, you're already ahead of so many people who just give up because of these myths.
And that's the key difference. People who improve don't have some secret talent. They just keep going even when it feels slow or difficult.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something I wish more learners understood.
The people who become fluent are the ones who stay consistent, not the ones who magically learn overnight.
Right, and once you stop believing these myths, it becomes so much easier to focus on what really works. Instead of feeling discouraged, you can actually enjoy the process.
Yeah, because learning English shouldn't feel like an impossible task.
It should be something exciting, something that opens doors for you and connects you with new people and opportunities.
Exactly, and the cool thing is, the more you let go of these limiting beliefs, the more progress you'll start to see. It's like a mental block gets removed, and suddenly, things start to click.
That's so true.
A lot of times, the biggest obstacle isn't English itself, it's the way people think about learning English.
Yes, like if you believe, I'll never be fluent, you'll probably never put in the effort to get there. But if you believe, I can improve every day, then you will.
Mindset is everything.
Instead of looking for reasons why you can't learn, start focusing on all the ways you can.
Yes, and when you shift that mindset, learning English starts to feel way less stressful and way more fun.
Exactly.
And when something is fun, you stick with it. And that's what leads to fluency.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the secret. If you enjoy the process, you'll naturally want to practice more. And the more you practice, the better you get.
Exactly.
Instead of forcing yourself to study with boring textbooks, find things you actually like doing in English, whether it's watching movies, listening to music, or playing games.
Right, learning doesn't have to be painful. If you love what you're doing, your brain absorbs information faster, and you don't even realize how much progress you're making.
And that's another myth. Some people think learning English has to be hard for it to be effective. But no, if you're enjoying it, that's a sign that you're learning the right way.
Yes, when you find a method that works for you, English stops feeling like studying and starts feeling like just a natural part of your life.
And that's what we want, right? Because fluency isn't just about knowing words and grammar. It's about feeling comfortable using English in real situations.
Exactly. The more you use English, the more natural it becomes. And when you stop worrying about myths and just focus on using the language, everything gets easier.
Yeah, and honestly, half the battle is just showing up every day.
Even if you don't feel like you're making huge progress, as long as you keep going, you are improving.
100%. Small steps every day lead to big results over time. You might not notice it in the moment, but one day you'll realize, wait, I actually understand this. I can say this without thinking.
And that's an amazing feeling. It's proof that all your effort is paying off.
Yes, so if you've been believing any of these myths, it's time to let them go and focus on what actually helps you improve.
Exactly.
The sooner you stop believing these myths, the sooner you can start making real progress.
And the best part is, once you break free from these limiting beliefs, learning English actually becomes easier. You stop overthinking, stop doubting yourself, and just start using the language.
Yeah, and that's when things really start to click.
You stop worrying about every little mistake and just focus on communication.
Right, because at the end of the day, English is a tool. It's not about being perfect, it's about using it to connect with people, express yourself, and open up new opportunities.
Exactly. And the more you do that, the more confident you become. Confidence leads to more practice leads to better skills, and before you know it, fluency doesn't feel so far away anymore.
Yes, and remember, everyone's journey is different. It doesn't matter if it takes you longer than someone else, the only thing that matters is that you keep going.
100%. So instead of focusing on what you think is stopping you, focus on what you can do today to improve, even if it's just a small step.
Yes, because every little step adds up, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come.
And that's the best feeling when you finally see the results of all your hard work.
Yeah, and that moment when you realize, wow, I just had a full conversation in English without struggling. That's when you know all the effort was worth it.
Exactly. And honestly, that moment comes sooner than people expect.
A lot of learners think fluency is this huge distant goal, but in reality, you start feeling confident way before you're perfect.
Right, because fluency isn't about knowing every single word or never making mistakes, it's about being able to communicate effectively and naturally.
Yes, and once you reach that point where English feels comfortable, even if you don't know every word, you've already won.
And getting there isn't about luck or talent, it's about doing the little things every day that move you forward.
100%. Like, instead of thinking, I need to be fluent, start thinking, I need to improve just a little today, because those small daily improvements stack up over time.
Exactly, and honestly, that's how all successful learners do it. They don't stress about how far they've left to go, they just focus on getting a little better every day.
And that's what makes the difference.
If you're consistent, if you keep pushing forward, fluency will happen. It's not a question of if, it's just a matter of when.
Yes, so no matter where you are in your English journey right now, just keep going. The only way to fail is to stop trying.
Exactly. Keep practicing, keep challenging yourself, and most importantly, enjoy the process.
That's the real secret to learning any language.
Yes, because when you enjoy the process, it stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a part of your life.
Exactly. And that's why people who have fun with English, whether through movies, music, or conversations, tend to improve faster.
They're not forcing themselves to study.
They're just naturally engaging with the language.
Right, and when you make English a part of your daily life, it doesn't feel like this big, overwhelming task. It's just something you do, like checking your phone or having a coffee in the morning.
Yeah, and the key is to keep exposing yourself to English in ways that feel natural to you.
If you love sports, watch games with English commentary. If you love gaming, play with people who speak English.
If you love music, start looking up lyrics and singing along.
Exactly, the more you make English something you enjoy, the easier it will be to stay consistent. And consistency is what leads to fluency.
100%.
It's not about cramming for a test or memorizing random vocabulary. It's about making English a part of your world, so that learning happens effortlessly.
Yes, and once that happens, your progress becomes unstoppable. You stop thinking of English as something separate from your life and start seeing it as just another way to express yourself.
Exactly.
And that's when you know you're on the right path, when English stops feeling like a subject and starts feeling like a skill you use.
Right, and the best part, once you reach that mindset, fluency isn't something you're chasing anymore. It's just a natural result of how you live your life.
Yes, because when you keep going, keep learning, and keep using English in real ways, fluency isn't a dream, it's inevitable.
Yes, and that's such a powerful realization. Fluency isn't some unreachable goal. It's just the result of daily habits and consistent practice.
Exactly. And the best part is, you don't have to be perfect.
You just have to keep going. Every time you listen, read, speak, or write in English, you're getting better, even if you don't notice it right away.
Right, and sometimes progress feels slow, but that's normal. Just because you don't see improvement instantly doesn't mean it's not happening.
That's so true. I think a lot of learners get discouraged because they expect to wake up one day and suddenly be fluent. But in reality, fluency happens gradually, it sneaks up on you.
Yes, one day you're struggling with sentences, and the next thing you know, you're watching a movie without subtitles and understanding most of it. It's those little moments that prove you're making progress.
Exactly.
So even if you feel stuck, don't stop.
Your brain is still processing, still absorbing, and eventually, things will start to click.
Yes, and honestly, patience is one of the biggest factors in learning a language. People who succeed aren't necessarily the smartest or the fastest learners, they're just the ones who don't give up.
100%.
The people who become fluent are the ones who keep showing up, even on the days when it feels frustrating or slow.
Right, because as long as you're still engaging with English, you're still moving forward, even if it's not as fast as you'd like.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, the moment you stop stressing about fluency and just focus on enjoying the process, that's when you start improving the fastest.
Yes, when you stop worrying so much about mistakes and just start using the language, everything becomes so much easier.
And that's the key. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready, and just start using English in real ways today.
Exactly, the more you use English in your daily life, the faster you'll improve. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent and not letting fear hold you back.
Right.
And remember, fluency isn't a destination, it's a journey.
As long as you keep going, you will get there.
Yes, so if you take anything from this conversation, let it be this. Stop believing in myths, stop waiting for the right time, and just start using English every single day.
That's it. Keep practicing, keep challenging yourself, and most importantly, enjoy the process.
We believe in you, and we know you can do this. Just take it one step at a time, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come.
That's the best feeling. So keep going, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening, and happy learning.
Bye.
Bye.